Welcome to Corrections Mama 27 channel. Today I'm going to do a video called DOA, Dead on Arrival. I'm calling it that because this has happened a few times, and in particular this one was particularly interesting, and I think it was negligent on medical's part. Now, the Department of Corrections used to have state nurses, which were paid a higher wage to come to the prison and work, and they were permanent employees. Well, the department over many years had privatized everything. Different directors decided to privatize different things. Ryan, who was the director, in particular, he privatized a lot of different parts of the prison. And I think it's a bad idea because every time they privatize something, it ends up a disaster, a total, complete disaster. Especially medical has become a disaster. I just don't think that private businesses should make money on incarcerated persons, because then they're going to want to incarcerate more people for the almighty dollar. Doesn't that make sense? Bad idea. I don't think there should be private prisons, and I don't think everything should be privatized or anything should be privatized in the prison. My personal opinion, and based on personal experience and observances. So, okay, so let's get to the story. I just needed to give you a little bit of background. Usually when an inmate is claiming that he's having chest pain, we're not allowed to say he's having a heart attack because we're not medical. We don't know that. So we just say an inmate is claiming that he's having chest pain. We call incident command system, which would sound like this. Corrections Mama to main control. Go for main control. Be advised, at this time I am calling an ICS, incident command system, for inmate Thomas, number 176555. We're in building 4, dog 2. This inmate is claiming that he's having a chest pains and he wants to see medical. He needs medical right away. Copy, and then she's going to repeat everything I just said. And then she's going to, and I will say, can you make notifications? Please notify medical. Send me a supervisor and one staff member. So she's going to make the notifications, and she's going to come back and tell me, medical said just bring him up. What? Can you have them respond and come to the building, come to the yard? Copy. She'll repeat everything that I say because that's what they do. And then there's a recorder that records it. And I will ask her to also assign a recorder. And then she'll say who she's talking, what nurse she talked to, and put their name out. And sorry, medical said they're not coming out. You need to just put him in a wheelchair and bring him up. So now I'm responsible for an inmate that could possibly have a heart attack. And I'm supposed to walk him across the yard, through like 6 freaking gates, to the middle of the medical is in the inner perimeter in the middle of the complex. So I'm going to have to push that wheelchair and walk him all the way up there and be responsible for him if he falls out and has a heart attack. Like, this is a bad idea. That's just stupid. You know? But because I'm in command, luckily, I'm the one calling the ICS. I'm not going to be the one doing the escort. So they sent an officer and a wheelchair. We had to hunt down a wheelchair. So this stuff takes time. All right, we're gonna have to go hunt down a wheelchair. The supervisor's gonna have to find an officer that can get relieved. He's gonna have to wait for him to get relieved. They're gonna have to go get a wheelchair, which sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they have them in the medical building on the yard, and sometimes you just borrow another inmate's wheelchair. And by the time you do all that, time is ticking. You know, he could have a heart problem. Like, this could be life-threatening. So it's going to take time to get that stuff done. And then the officer that's going to escort him is going to walk him on through this gate and through that gate, and supervisor's permission, and show their ID, and pat down the inmate and restrain the inmate at the sally port, put leg irons on him, put restraints on him, belly chains and stuff, because that's what you do anytime you take them off the unit. Even if they're still within the prison complex, they have to be restrained. So by the time the officer gets the inmate there, medical comes to see him, and he's dead. By this time, he's dead. In the wheelchair, he's dead. To me, that's negligence on medical's part. And trust me, I have told people in the past, if something happens to me, please do not let medical deal with me. Just call an ambulance. I want real medical care. So it's just ridiculous that they did this. They have a medical van. They get their keys, get in the van, and show up at the unit. We could have met them at the sally port. Usually we'll let them through and come to the yard, go in the building. That's the way they should have responded to an emergency like that. Not take a chance that he's not going to die en route. So, as most people know, you could be having a heart attack and still be conscious and still be talking. That doesn't mean you're not having a heart attack. So these nurses, these private-type nurses were, nitwits. It's just negligent to do that. And yes, there are inmates that cry wolf. There are inmates that want out of the pod for this reason or that reason. And when they get to medical, that's when they PC up, or when they say, I need protective custody because someone's going to kill me because I owe money, I owe a debt, or I owe this, or they told me I have to leave. For some reason, inmates tend to think that they need to go to medical to do this, which is stupid. You could just come to the control room, let me know, and then you're going to go into a locked, secured area where you're safe from other inmates. So, I don't know. Maybe they thought he was full of crap. But when you call medical, you give them the inmate's name and number. They pull the file, look at the file, look him up on the computer, and find out what his medical records are before they come and get you. But if it's a heart attack, forget all that. Get your butt down here, right? I mean, common sense, hello, right? Life and death situation. If this was your uncle or grandfather or whatever, are you going to tell him to walk, half a mile or 2 miles to get to medical and hope you survive that? Of course, they gave him a wheelchair, but still, right? Like, that's BS, man. So, yeah. So they walked him up in the wheelchair and they checked him and they're like, he's dead. Oh my God, he's dead. Well, duh. He said he was having chest pain, and instead of you guys coming down here to the unit, which would have been much faster, you made us walk him all the way over here in a wheelchair. Dun dun dun. Are you really a nurse, or are you a dun dun dun? Seems to me you should be in the dun 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 club, right? This is crazy. So that's what happened. And then he was in the dead man holding cell. And I'm sure they did CPR and all that, because even though he's dead, they make you do CPR because he was alive a couple minutes ago, so maybe they can revive him. I can't imagine the officer that was escorting what he was going through. You know? And how does he not know? Does the inmate head go back? Or does he slump over? Or does he just remain sitting in the same position and it doesn't change the whole way to medical? Are you not talking to this guy? Hey, dude, what's going on? You know? How does he... I don't know. I wasn't there, so I really can't say I wasn't there for the escort to medical. But then, usually once he's off the yard, they stand down from ICS because the inmates not on the yard anymore. It no longer concerns the yard. So they had to call on ICS again at Complex Medical. And then it became a Complex ICS. And then the supervisor had to respond there. And then they call an ambulance to make sure they can't revive him. And then once the ambulance calls a doctor and tells him this guy's dead as a doornail, then they announce that he's dead. And then that happens. And then they call the coroner. And the coroner take their time. The coroner's busy. They have a lot of things to do, a lot of bodies to pick up apparently. Because it could take up to 24 hours for them to pick up a body sometimes. It's crazy, right? So then we got an officer standing there watching a dead body. So, well, I'm sorry. There's nothing about this situation that is funny because I was just laughing at the fact that an officer has to stand and watch a guard a dead body. It's kind of creepy. So I had to do that once. It's just weird. You're just like, it's not what you want to do, you know? So, I mean, these inmates have family. These inmates have mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters. Some of them have children. Some of them have wives. Everybody has somebody, usually, that cares about them, whether they think they have somebody or not. So, yeah, that's how it went down. Dead on arrival. So, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, ask questions. If you ask a good question, I might make a video about it if I think it'll make good content. And please share my videos and please subscribe.